affect you. This is Inside KELOLAND.
Good evening and thanks for having us in. In a little more than a week, voters across the U.S. will head to the polls for the midterm election. If you live in South Dakota, be ready for another lengthy ballot. Now, take a look. There are so many statewide races, we couldn't fit all of them onto a single graphic. In addition to selecting a U.S. representative and a new governor, South Dakotans will also vote for a new state auditor, treasurer, and public utilities commissioner. Depending on where you live, you could also add a handful of local races on the list. South Dakotans will also decide the fate of 5 ballot measures. Over the next half hour, we are going to take a look at each one of them. We're hearing from people on both sides of every issue. That way you know exactly what you're voting for when you cast your ballot. Well, before we get started, we want to let you know about our ballot guide. If you have a smartphone, tablet, or laptop nearby, here's what you need to do. Go to KELOLAND.com and click on your local election headquarters. Once you get to the page, click on the ballot guide. It'll ask you to enter your email address. Now, this is only required so the program can send you your completed ballot guide to your inbox. We are not tracking your answers and will not use your email address for any other reason. Once that's complete, you can take notes and check yes or no. We've even put the issues in the order that you will see them in the special. You then get a document like this sent to your inbox to bring with you to the polls. Well, if you're not comfortable sharing your email address, you can also print it off and bring it with you on Election Day. Okay, let's get started. One of the most talked about measures on this year's ballot is Initiated Measure 24. It would ban individuals, political action committees, and others from outside South Dakota from making contributions to ballot question committees. Those who support it say out-of-staters have no business meddling in South Dakota elections. Those against Initiated Measure 24 say it's unconstitutional, citing freedom of speech. KELOLAND's Don Jorgensen takes a look at both sides of the debate.
Right now, no states ban out-of-state contributions to ballot measure campaigns.
We've seen over the last several elections a number of instances where initiated measures are brought primarily by out-of-state people.
For instance, in South Dakota's last election in 2016, out-of-state donors contributed over $10 million to ballot measure campaigns.
That just offends me that out-of-staters are hijacking our ballot and our media to run their commercials and get the citizens to vote based on a 30-second commercial when they hear nothing on the opposite side.
It would be an awful precedent and a bad practice.
President of the South Dakota Broadcasters Association, Steve Willard, says his organization always tries to stay objective on ballot issues, but feels IM-24 is unconstitutional.
We're censoring by geography. So it means that regardless of the content, regardless of the message, if it's out of state, then they're restricted to participating.
Willard says if voters pass IM-24, it will be challenged in court.
I say fine, come ahead with the constitutional challenge.
The governor likens it to our federal elections.
No foreign government can spend money to influence our elections in the United States. Well, if that's constitutional, why isn't it constitutional for a state to say no out-of-state person can spend money to influence our state laws?
Do tobacco companies have any interest in a $1 a pack increase in tobacco taxes? I would think they do. They're an out-of-state interest. But the Supreme Court has been crystal clear. Political speech is free speech. And political speech that enhances the rights of some to the detriments of others, the courts have decided is unconstitutional, and they've done it at circuit court level and Supreme Court level, and we're confident this would be treated the same way.
Similar legislation failed in the South Dakota legislature both in 2017 and 2018. How easy or hard should it be to change the Constitution of South Dakota? Well, that's the debate over Amendment X. Supporters say the constitutional amendment is designed to keep the integrity of the Constitution. Opponents say it's unnecessary and won't make a difference. KELOLAND's Sammy Bielen takes a closer look at what it would mean to you and to the state.
Right now, to make an amendment to the South Dakota Constitution, there only needs to be a majority of votes to win, meaning just over 50%. Amendment X would increase that number to 55%. The two sides of this issue have strong feelings about whether this is needed and if it will help.
If you look at our history in South Dakota, there have been, just up until 2016, there were 240 proposed amendments that the voters of South Dakota have voted on. Of those 240, 224 came from the legislature, right? It's the legislature that tends to bring these forward.
Up until the early 1970s, only the legislature could put amendments on the ballot. So the idea that there's so many of these amendments coming from the legislature, that should be that's very logical, because for the vast majority of the history of our state, only the legislature could recommend amendments to go on the Constitution.
District 16 Senator Jim Boland says this idea came from a similar amendment passed in Colorado in 2016. He believes it will prevent outside influencers from passing laws in our state. District 15 Senator Reynold Nezeba says this change wouldn't work because of the 16 amendments not from the legislature. Only 6 have passed, and 5 of those passed with 55% of the vote. So even if Amendment X had been in place, it would have only stopped 1 amendment.
And it's really a very philosophical argument that I'm trying to make, is that this particular document, the foundational political document of the state, should have a slightly higher threshold for amendments to be made.
The citizens, if they feel something is wrong, that they should be able to go out, take that idea, circulate it, turn in tens of thousands of petition signatures, and have the right to have the people of South Dakota vote on it, independent of that legislative process.
Nezeba believes this will discourage citizens from trying to make change. Boland argues Amendment X does not impact a voter's right to collect petitions and put a measure to the ballot. Both men agree the Constitution needs to be protected. They just don't see eye to eye on how to do that.
If Amendment X were to pass, it would not impact any of the measures on the November ballot. In addition to the issue, South Dakotans are voting on 8 statewide races. Here's a look at the first one you'll find on the ballot. 4 men from 4 different parties want to represent South Dakota in the U.S. House. Libertarian George Hendrickson wants to give more power to states and wants all elected officials to be subject to the laws they pass. Republican Dusty Johnson has been on the PUC and worked as Governor Dugard's chief of staff. He says he wants to bring his positive attitude to D.C. Democrat and former circuit court judge Tim Bjorkman says he'll stand up to Washington's political powers and special interests. Independent Ron Wazorek wants to bring Lyndon LaRouche's 4 laws for economic recovery to the nation's capital. The winner will take the seat currently held by Kristi Noem and will be the state's lone representative in the U.S. House. Well, here's the second race you'll find on the ballot. Libertarian Kurt Evans, Republican Kristi Noem, and Democrat Billy Sutton all want to be South Dakota's next governor. Evans is a former math teacher from Wessington Springs who has also run for state auditor. Noem is a rancher from Castlewood who has spent the last 8 years representing South Dakota in the U.S. House. Sutton grew up on a ranch near Burke and served as the minority leader in the state Senate. From statewide races to ballot issues, we have a lot more to talk about. Up next, we're taking a look at Initiated Measure 25. Supporters say it would help solve a workforce shortage. Opponents are questioning where the money would actually go. You're watching Inside KELOLAND Ballot Issues Explained. Welcome back to Inside KELOLAND Ballot Issues Explained. Should South Dakota increase taxes on tobacco products to raise money for technical schools? That's another question South Dakota voters are answering. KELOLAND's Casey Wannenberg looks at both sides of Initiated Measure 25.
Supporters of Initiated Measure 25 make big promises.
Whether it's through your television or your mailbox, chances are you've seen ads for Initiated Measure 25.
So they're trying to create confusion.
But what exactly would the measure do? It would increase the tax on a pack of 20 cigarettes from about $1.53 to $2.53. The tax on wholesale tobacco products would also go up from 35% to 55%. The measure says that some of that money would go to technical institutes.
Mostly just to address workforce. We have high tuition for our 2-year technical schools, and the only way to solve that is to find an additional source of revenue.
Representative Mark Mickelson proposed the initiative. He says technical schools can help address some of the workforce problems the state is facing. But people opposing the measure say it leaves many educational opportunities out.
So when it comes to preschoolers, K through 12 schools, or the four-year universities.
Steve Westra is the chairperson of Vote No on IM25.
We have a pattern in the state of South Dakota of taking these funds away from their intended sources and just diverting them right into the general fund. There's no guarantees that this money will ever find its way to the technical schools.
And I would just offer this legislative research fiscal note that says, yeah, $20 million of this goes to the technical schools.
Millions of dollars that voters could decide how to spend. With Your Money Matters, I'm Casey Wannenberg.
Well, IM25 is also getting national attention. Opponents call themselves South Dakotans Against Higher Taxes, but a majority of the group's donations come from out of state. Campaign finance reports filed on the Secretary of State's website say Philip Morris and the tobacco company's parent company donated more than $6 million to fight the dollar tax. One of the questions South Dakotans Against Higher Taxes keeps bringing up is whether technical schools would ever even see the money. Well, they've compared it to video lottery and the money they say was supposed to provide to education. KELOLAND's Casey Wannenberg digs into our archives to bring you the truth.
We are short of skilled people.
Today, those in favor of Initiated Measure 25
Let's tax something that you want less of.
kicked off their campaign.
We need technical trained students.
Dick Muth of Muth Electric says struggling to find enough workers is his industry's biggest obstacle. That's why he's pushing for more funding for technical schools.
We have turned down lots of jobs that we could have done if we'd had the trained workforce.
But those opposed to the measure warn that technical schools may not ever see the money.
There's absolutely no taxpayer protection with Initiated Measure 25.
Steve Westra is with South Dakotans Against Higher Taxes. You may have seen the group's ads.
Nothing in IM25 prevents the new tax money from being diverted to the general fund, like we've seen over and over. Remember the video lottery?
There's no guarantees that this money will ever find its way to the technical schools. Again, think of video lottery.
Let's dig into the KELOLAND archives a moment.
We're making history in South Dakota this evening.
When South Dakota voted to legalize video lottery in the late 1980s, there was a lot of controversy.
Where do we stand on video lottery? Why should it pass? Why should it fail?
Video lottery robs us of...
To get more support for the games, those in favor of the machines argued that it would raise money for education.
Video lottery was marketed as something that it wasn't written. It was authorized in video lottery. They said they'd use the money for education, but that was never written.
Mickelson says this measure is written differently, though, where the money is specifically appropriated to technical schools.
This is written in a way that says this is a $25 million of new revenue, $20 million goes to the technical schools, and we're advertising what we wrote.
Still, Westra says that doesn't stop lawmakers from changing their minds.
Essentially, Initiated Measure 25 is a blank check that we can't afford.
The newly formed tech board is going to monitor that, and that's a scare tactic, is all that is.
A tactic that Muth hopes doesn't prevent voters from giving more tax dollars to technical schools.
This is one very important issue for our state.
With Your Money Matters, I'm Casey Wannenberg.
Every South Dakota voter will be asked who they want to be the new Secretary of State. Here's a look at the candidates. Republican Steve Barnett is currently the state auditor. He used to work at Senator John Thune's Aberdeen office. Democrat Alexandra Frederick runs a family ranch in Todd County. She describes herself as a mother and hard-working rancher. South Dakotans will also elect a new Attorney General. Republican Jason Rounsberg is a partner in a Yankton law firm and serves as Deputy State's Attorney for Union County in South Dakota. Democrat Randy Seiler recently retired from his position as South Dakota's U.S. Attorney. Seiler says he's dedicated to keeping South Dakota safe. South Dakota is also looking for a new state auditor. Republican Rich Satgast held the title for 8 years. But because of term limits, he ran for state treasurer. After 8 years as treasurer, he now needs to change offices again. so he is running for auditor. His opponent is Democrat Tom Kuhl of Sioux Falls. Kuhl says he's running because he wants to make Pierre more accountable. We still have a lot to talk about, including more candidates and more issues. We'll dig into Amendment W and Z when Inside KELOLAND returns. One of the ballot questions you'll be faced with on Election Day promises to fight government corruption. In order to understand Amendment W, we have to take you back to a past election. KELOLAND's Kelly Volk gives us the history and tells us what this new amendment would mean for South Dakota.
Supporters of this constitutional amendment say it's an answer to the repeal of the voter-approved initiated Measure 22 back in 2016. Last year, lawmakers repealed IM-22, saying they would pass replacement bills to fulfill some key wishes of the voters. That's why they passed a bill for the Government Accountability Board. The board can review and investigate any person holding a statewide office and employees of the executive branch. But Amendment W supporters say it's not enough.
When lawmakers came out of the 2017 session, they tried to create an oversight board, but legislators exempted the legislative branch from its oversight. And so once again, we're kind of left with inches ahead of where we were at before 2016, which was not a good place to begin with, the kind of bottom of the list when it comes to accountability.
Amendment W would replace that board with a new one. The amendment also calls for about $389,000 in state funds each year for an ethics law enforcement fund. Supporters say the money would fund the board's mission, but one opponent describes this as a fourth branch of government.
The criticism that they didn't include the legislature under that ethics commission is fairly legitimate, but you don't need a $400,000 a year independent tribunal that swallows the rest of the Constitution to fix that. We ought to place the legislative branch under the authority of the Ethics Commission that was created in a bipartisan vote 2 years ago.
This constitutional amendment would also do several other things, including placing more restrictions on lobbyists, lowering campaign amounts, and limiting the number of votes necessary for approval of an initiative or a referendum to a simple majority. Supporters say the changes are safe from being replaced by lawmakers this time around.
With Amendment W, we're able to tell them if lawmakers ever want to come in and scrap this, if lawmakers ever want to come in and get rid of this or undermine this, they've got to send that back to the voters for the final say. And we don't just apply that to Amendment W, we apply that to all measures in the future.
But opponents argue the amendment holds too much power.
This is a poorly constructed, poorly written, risky amendment that takes a statewide vote to fix. It's wrong.
The Attorney General says it will likely be challenged on constitutional grounds. For KELOLAND News, I'm Kelly Volk.
Well, as you just saw in Amendment W, constitutional amendments can be complicated. Some worry they can be confusing to voters. Well, that's the reason behind Amendment Z. If it passes, it will limit each amendment to a single subject. That means if someone wants to make two changes to the state constitution, they'd need to be presented and voted on separately. KELOLAND's Sarah McDonald talked with people on both sides of Amendment Z.
Supporters say limiting amendments to one subject will make it easier for voters on Election Day.
Sometimes people will bring a complicated amendment to the Constitution that may have 8 or 9 different ideas and 1 or 2 good ones. And so people are left with the choice of voting for a package of amendments, the 2 or 1 or 2 of which they like, the others which they don't like.
Representative Mark Mickelson supports Amendment Z.
It's just intended to really clarify what's in front of people when they're deciding on the issue.
Rebecca Turk with Dakota Rural Action wants you to vote no on Z. She says putting an amendment on the ballot is a complicated and lengthy process.
It involves setting up a ballot question committee. It involves raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. It involves gathering tens of thousands of petition signatures.
Turk says having only one subject would waste time and money.
Split it up and run, have to run a separate campaign, a separate process, and gather tens of thousands of signatures for every little piece of, you know, what is clearly, I think, for most people, a single issue.
The final say is up to voters on November 6th. For KELOLAND News, I'm Sarah McDonald.
It's time for a quick break, but there are a few more things you'll want to know before you head to the polls. We'll take a look at 2 more statewide races. Plus, we'll let you know what to do if you come across problems at the polls. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside KELOLAND, Ballot Issues Explained. We've been through the issues. Now we have 2 more statewide races to tell you about. Republican Christy Fegan and Democrat Wayne Frederick are running for the Public Utilities Commission. Fegan currently holds the seat. Frederick is a rancher in Todd County. If his last name sounds familiar, that's because his wife is running for Secretary of State. Republican Ryan Bruner and Democrat Woody Hauser are running for Commissioner of School and Public Lands. Bruner currently holds the seat. Hauser is a realtor in southeast South Dakota. As we've gone through the races, you may have noticed a pattern. Libertarian candidates are always listed first, followed by Republicans, Democrats, and Independents. There's a reason for that. The Secretary of State held a drawing back in August, and the parties picked the order. The process is required by law. We've gone through all the statewide races and issues, but that's not all you'll find on your ballot. You should also be prepared to vote on local races. If you'd like to check your ballot, you can find a link, and that's not all. Our news crews have been busy keeping you up to date on the races for months now. You can find all of those stories on KELOLAND.com. Just click on the Your Local Election Headquarters. We've also posted a link to ballot measure descriptions and a link to find out where you can go to cast a ballot. And if you missed our KELOLAND News, U.S. House or gubernatorial debates, you can also find them both online. Oh, be sure to stay with KELOLAND News all day on Election Day. We'll bring you live coverage from the polls. Plus, we will have fast, accurate results online and at the bottom of your screen. We will have news crews at party headquarters. When the races are called, we will bring you live interviews with the candidates. Before we go, we have another tool we want to tell you about. We're once again teaming up with Electionland, and we need your help tracking problems at the polls. All you need to do is take out your phone and text VOTE to 81380. We'll text you again on Election Day and ask you how it's going, then bring you up to date on any issues at the polls here on KELOLAND News. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.